You are Locked On Giants Postcast, part of Locked On Sports San Francisco on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On Giants Postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. You may know me as the former producer for the Murph and Mac Morning Show on KMBR, and today, the Giants are suddenly a force to be reckoned with on the road as they win in dominant fashion again against an American League playoff team. Final score from Kauffman Stadium today, 9-0 over the Royals as the Giants win in shutout fashion. We got to talk about the 5 home runs by this Giants offense, 2 each by Chapman, shout out dad strength, and Lamonte Jr., and 1 by Mike Yastrzemski, who's so hot that he's doing things lately that puts him in the same air as Shohei Ohtani in recent weeks. Plus, Landen Roupp continued to roll today as he recorded his first career big league win after spitting 5 shutout innings against this Royals. We'll break it all down, but first, I want to thank all of you for watching us on the Locked On Sports channel. Please hit that subscribe button. Thanks also for listening on the Locked On Giants daily show and on the podcast feed. And make sure that if you aren't checking out the daily show, you do that. Make that your second listen after making us your first listen following these Giants games. Ben Kaspick does a great job. And now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet just $5 and get a free 3-week trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Just visit FanDuel.com to get started. And man, this one, the Giants erupted with the offense. I mean, first inning, Lamonte Jr., what's with the Giants and all these first inning home runs lately, man? It's just been one after another after another. And Lamonte Jr. smashes one, his 7th of the season on a fly ball to right field. Smashed this one, 108.6 miles an hour, 406 off the bat. And the Giants, I mean, home runs were flying out there today at Kauffman. I mean, Lamonte Jr. ran into another one in the top of the 4th. Hits his 8th home run of the season on a fly ball to right field, 389 feet, 98.4 off the bat. And that one hung up in the air a long time, just kind of kept floating on out. That first one was more of a drive. The second one was a little bit of just like just warm day out there until, weird weather out there today. It was nice and sunny in the beginning. Then the clouds rolled in all thick. They had to really hurry to wrap this one up before the rainstorm moved in. And we'll see if they can actually get this game in tomorrow or not, because they're going to have to battle a pretty significant rainstorm if they want to get this one in. We'll see if that pans out for the Giants. But Lamonte picks up 2 home runs. And then right after that, Lamonte Jr. Home run number 2 today, Matt Chapman comes up, goes back-to-back, first game back from paternity leave. He has a new baby girl, baby Gia, so congrats, Matt Chapman. And he promptly shows off that dad strength, man. I mean, it's just something that happens when you become a dad. You're instantly like 10 times stronger than you were prior. Matt Chapman smashes his 25th home run of the season, straight out there to center field, 421 feet, 106.3 off the bat. And then in the top of the 6th, Chapman wasn't done, runs into another one and smashes his 26th home run over to left field, 386 feet. That one he went down and got, and that was another one that just kind of kept on sailing out, just like that second Lamonte Jr. home run. So both, maybe the Giants benefiting a little bit from that warm weather out there in Kauffman, and capitalizing on playing in that Midwest humidity at this time of the season. And the Giants, they weren't done with the home run ball either. Mike Yastrzemski, to finish it off, smashes his 18th home run of the season and the Giants' 5th of the day down the right field line, gives the Giants a 9-0 lead at that point. Kirk Casale also added some RBIs with a base knock and some runners on base. So that was a good piece of situational hitting as well by good old Kirk Casale. So, I mean, you're looking at this Giants box score, and it looks pretty good, man. I mean, aside from the 10 strikeouts, of course, because that's, just what the Giants are allotted every day, it seems like, is guaranteed 10 strikeouts. They only had 1 walk, but 9 RBIs, 9 hits, 9 runs. I mean, that's some good baseball right there for the Giants, with runners in scoring position, 3-4-4 at the dish, and baby, that's what we like to see, man. This team has been so bad in these situations, but lately they've actually, kind of been coming through a little bit. I mean, save for that one loss that they had the other night where, Donovan Walton couldn't get down any bunts, and that just made me want to just jump off my apartment complex building. But the Giants lately are playing really well on the road. This is a team that has struggled all season long on the road. I mean, they entered today with a 34-42 road record, and now 35-42. And I mean, they were in the bottom 10 of Major League Baseball clubs in road winning percentage and the fourth lowest in the National League. But with the win today, that guarantees them another series win on the road. That's now 3 consecutive road series that they've won, all against playoff teams. What the hell has gotten into this team? They go down to San Diego and they beat the Padres in a absolutely pop-in Petco Park. And that place looks so fun right now. And then they head out to Baltimore and they take care of business against the Orioles. And I mean, they destroyed them in one of those games, like 13-0. And then they come out to Kansas City and they do the same thing to the Royals. 9-0 win, dominant fashion. And I mean, the Giants have been doing this a lot with, I think a big part of the reason why they've been so good this month, specifically in September, you look at the 3 rookie pitchers, like you look at the 5 starters. Logan Webb, he's going to be Logan Webb. Blake Snell, he's going to be Blake Snell in the second half. Those two, you don't really need to say much else other than that. But the rest of the Giants starters, Hayden Birdsong, Landen Roupp, and Mason Black, have all pitched really well this month. And the young kids are stepping up. They're showing us what we want to see at the end of the season. Landen Roupp today picks up his first major league win of his career. And I mean, the guy had 5 strong shutout innings, looked just like Mason Black did last night. I mean, really being effective at pitching over the plate, filling up that strike zone. He threw 87 pitches, 56 of them for strikes. So he's doing a pretty good job filling up that strike zone. He did walk 3 guys, so would like to see that number come down a little bit. But 3's not, it's not going to kill you. But I would like to see that number come down a little bit. 3 over 5 innings is a little high, but he did get 3 strikeouts as well and only gave up 3 hits. So he scattered the 6 base runners over the 5 innings, and he was able to, pitch pretty effectively, man. He was never in any real, super deep trouble today, and it seemed like he just kind of cruised up there for the majority of this one. His ERA this season, by the way, Landen Roupp, down to 2.70. This kid, I'm excited about this guy. I mean, going into next season, he could be the best of the bunch of these rookie pitchers that we've seen this year between Birdsong and the pitchers that we've seen make their debuts this year. I'm excluding Kyle Harrison from this conversation, but as far as like Birdsong and Black and Roupp go, and I was really hoping we'd see Whisenhunt before the end of the season. I'm still kind of holding out hope that we might, but who knows? It's the last day it's the last home game for the River Cats today. So, I mean, who knows if Landen Roupp will, or not Landen Roupp, excuse me, Carson Whisenhunt will make a start for the big league squad before the end of the season. At this rate, I don't think it's going to happen. But another kind of interesting move that the Giants made heading into this one, they sent Ramos. They sent Marco Luciano back down to AAA Sacramento. Apparently he's not heading to Sacramento. Apparently he's headed to Arizona, where he's going to pretty much just immediately start on his offseason work. And I really don't like this move at all. Why is Donovan Walton still on this roster? Marco Luciano is not. I mean, Luciano is a guy that you kind of need to know what you got from him going forward into next year. You need to know if this guy is going to step up or if he's going to not. And Donovan Walton isn't going to change a damn thing about next season's Giants or this season's Giants. Donovan Walton's going to be Donovan Walton one way or the other, and that guy's not going to move the needle at all. Marco Luciano, if he pans out, will definitely move the needle. This has been the cornerstone, prospect for what the better part of a decade, it feels like. This guy's, we got to know if he's good or not, if he can play. I mean, what happened to his power? It just disappeared. This guy, I mean, the bat to ball skill is good. The average isn't bad, and he's got the gap to gap thing going. But Marco Luciano just not hitting home runs at all at the big league level. And if he doesn't have a defensive position, are you really going to have a DH that just stands there and slaps singles all over the place? I don't know, man. It's not super appealing to me. So Alex Pavlovich recently reporting that maybe he's going to move into the outfield. That's kind of where the Giants see him at this point. Where's he fit? You going to bench Grant McCray and put in Marco Luciano? I don't want that. I mean, Grant McCray at least brings a glove with him to the yard, and a really good one at that. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know where this guy fits in. I really don't. But I think that you need to let him play the rest of the season to figure it out and give him as many opportunities in these lower stakes situations as you can, because next year doesn't matter. Next year, you need to win some games. You need to prove it next year. Right now, you still got some time to go out and just try something, throw some S at the wall and see what sticks. And Marco Luciano could be some of that S you're throwing at the wall. You know what I mean? Like this guy, I think he's got potential still. I mean, I don't dislike Marco Luciano despite what a lot of the listeners might think. I mean, I hate that this guy has a brick for a glove on defense. I would really like this guy. If you're a middle infielder, you can't not play defense. The one thing about Triple E, I do not like shortstops and second basemen who kick the ball around. Do not like that. I need me some good defense up the middle. And if Marco Luciano is going to play one of those positions, I need him to have a backhand on his glove. He's in the outfield. That's a different story. I just need him to go chase down some fly balls, and he's not a slow guy. So I'm assuming, as long as he's got some good judgment and can read the ball off the bat, that he can probably do that decently. So I don't hate Marco Luciano. I just hate him at shortstop. I don't want him to play that position. Find another spot for the guy. I had talked earlier in the year about maybe long-term he could be a third baseman. I completely disagree with that take at this point. And I mean, Matt Chapman is, locked down for the foreseeable future at that spot. So I don't know. Who knows what happens with Luciano? But point being, what the hell are the Giants doing tinkering again at this point in the season? And I know you had to send somebody down because Matt Chapman was coming back. Just DFA Walton. It's not that hard, man. It's really not that hard. Just go DFA Donovan Walton. Let Marco Luciano play the rest of the season at the big league level. See what's up with him. And let's figure it out. Let's see what we got going into next year and see which one of these guys we're going to ride with and who we're not. And speaking of that, I did want to talk a little bit about the future of a Lamonte Wade Jr. because today, Lamonte Wade, really nice. He had 2 home runs. But we know what the season has been like for Lamonte. He was amazing in the first half of the season, was a all-star candidate for the Giants. I mean, this guy was hitting above like 330, like damn near 340. The on-base percentage was like 450 plus for a while. This guy had a great first half of the season, but in the second half, he fell off a cliff. And I know he had that hamstring issue that lingered for a while, and the Giants brought him back a little early from that. I even said that. When he, I think it was the series in Cincinnati earlier this year, when he was like trying to leg out a double that was like in the gap off the wall, like could have been a double, maybe a triple when he's healthy. And he almost got thrown out at second base on that play. So, and that was right after the Giants had brought him back from the injured list. They clearly did bring him back too early, and he was clearly not the same guy. The lower half was not involved in swings, et cetera, et cetera. But Lamonte Wade Jr., is he the first baseman of the future? There's a lot of pending free agents at the position, and the Giants lack power. I mean, contrary to the 5 home runs today and the 2 we saw from Lamonte Wade Jr., the 2 in one day is nice. Don't get me wrong, but that's 8 home runs total for the season for Lamonte Wade Jr. Can you afford, if you're the Giants, to run it back and only maybe generate, if let's say he's healthy the whole year, 10 to 15 home runs out of the first base position? I don't know, man. Let's talk about it on the other side, though. Definitely an interesting piece to get into about this Giants future. And I think it's relevant with what we saw from Lamonte Wade Jr. today. He played really, really well. But is this enough for you to say, yeah, I want him back next season? Let's get into it on the other side of the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. We'll be right back. Today's show is sponsored by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience, the formula for winning championships, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance: superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive today at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Welcome back to the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. Today, the Giants, a dominant 9-0 win over the Royals, a beatdown, which featured 5 Giants home runs and some really nice pitching from Landen Roupp and the bullpen. I mean, we can't forget the bullpen. I mean, Bivens came in and tossed 2 solid innings. Beck came in, tossed 2 innings of no hit ball. every pitcher who pitched generated a strikeout. Not a ton of strikeouts on the day for the Giants, 6 in total, 3 walks. And I mean, a really solid day all the way around. And your starter only goes 5 innings and you still manage to only use 2 arms out of the bullpen. That's a really good day on the road against a playoff team, man. Like, this is a really solid day for the Giants. And as I said, 5 home runs, 2 off the bat of Matt Chapman, 1 off the bat of Mike Yastrzemski, and 2 off the bat of Lamonte Wade Jr. And that begs the question, do you want Lamonte Wade Jr. back as your first baseman next season? So it's interesting. I mean, the guy had a really great first half, but when you're looking at the total body of work this season, he's batting .267 and he's got 8 home runs. And do you want that out of your first baseman? Now, there's a lot of potential free agents. You got Paul Goldschmidt, you got Pete Alonso, you got Josh Bell, Carlos Santana. I'm just naming guys off the top of my head. Rhys Hoskins. You got a lot of guys out there Christian Walker from the Diamondbacks. You got a lot of guys out there that could potentially hit the open market. Now, some of these guys are, might resign or are, maybe they're going to return to their team on, like, they have opt-outs, things like that. So not all of these guys are guaranteed to hit the open market, but aside from maybe 1 or 2 of those names I just mentioned, I think I'd rather have any of those dudes than Lamonte Wade Jr. And I'm not hating on Lamonte Wade. He's been really nice for the Giants, a diamond in the rough that they found. But I think you need a stopgap right now. I think next year you need to make the team a little bit better. I think this is about the time that the Giants should go out and swing for a Pete Alonso, man. Even a Paul Goldschmidt late in his career. I think obviously, let's just get this one off the table. Go get Paul Goldschmidt just so you don't have to play him ever again. Even if he sucks and just sits on your bench and is, the old man on the bench that's just the guy giving out the sage advice at the end of the bench, but doesn't really play. And I'm not thinking that's what's going to happen to Paul Goldschmidt, because he's still a pretty solid player in today's league. But even if that's all you're getting out of him, that is good, because he's not going to beat you every single time that you play the Cardinals. So that would be a positive thing if you go get Paul Goldschmidt just to take him away from being able to do damage to the Giants. At least it's not as bad as when he was a Diamondback, man. But Christian Walker, I think, would be a phenomenal addition to this Giants team. And same with Pete Alonso, too. And these are all guys that could make the switch over to DH. If you have a guy like Bryce Eldridge eventually come up, which he will, and take that first base role, that's obviously where the Giants are headed for the future, is Bryce Eldridge at first base. And we all know this, when we should be very excited about this. Kid's all the way up in AAA at this point. I mean, absolutely bonkers rise through the minor leagues for that kid. If you don't know, you better get familiar with Bryce Eldridge, the big towering 19-year-old prodigy who seems like he's going to be hitting baseballs over the fence at McCovey Cove for quite a while. This guy profiles as a very prolific power hitter at the big league level with light tower power. And I'm very excited for Bryce Eldridge, but we can't just hang back and do nothing in the meantime. You got to make this team better right now. The next year, the goal is the playoffs. If you do not make the playoffs next year, it is a failure of a season. And I genuinely do think that this season's a failure too, for not reaching the playoffs. That is the goal. That is the bare minimum goal for this team. It should be every single season, reach the playoffs. If you don't do that next year again, then there's major changes that need to come in after next season, if there aren't in this offseason. And I mean specifically Farhan Zaidi. And at that point, if Bob Melvin has 2 back-to-back seasons of no playoffs and underperforming with a good roster, I think at that point it would be appropriate, depending on how things go during the season, if for people to start calling for Melvin's job. I don't think it's appropriate now. I don't think Bob Melvin has been so bad that you need to jettison him out of San Francisco. I do think Farhan doesn't really deserve to come back next year. I don't think that he deserves to lead the Giants into this offseason. He's proven time and time again that he can't get it done. He's not even the guy who signed Matt Chapman. That was Buster Posey. So go get us someone else who can lead this franchise in free agency, and go get some big names to come in. And I want it to start. Top of the list for me would be Pete Alonso, man. Number 1 option. Could you imagine that guy's power at Oracle Park? I think it would play really well. And I think that would give the Giants a lot of, potential with the DH spot. I mean, right now you got Michael Conforto playing DH and rotating in and out of the outfield. Sometimes it's Ramos. You got a lot of different guys that you've used at that DH spot this year. Obviously, Jorge Soler was the guy that the Giants had pegged to be in that role for this season. I mean, we know how that worked out. By saying we know how it worked out, obviously, it didn't. So I think that if you do go and get a big power bat like a Pete Alonso or I think JD Martinez is available too, which I wouldn't hate that. I really wouldn't. You go and get a guy who can play first base and is primarily going to be a DH later in his career. I don't think Pete Alonso isn't going to like throw a big old fit if you tell him to move to DH from first base. I don't think that'll happen. Christian Walker might though, because that guy's a former Gold Glover at first base. Maybe Bryce Eldridge could just come up and just be a DH and focus just on hitting baseballs if you go and get a guy like that, if he's even available, if the Diamondbacks don't bring him back. But I think any of those options you got to go and pursue, because Lamonte Jr., though he's been decent for the Giants, and we all love the story and the connection that he's developed with various people in the Giants community. Like he and Rennell Brooks Moon were really tight, and that was really cool always seeing them, and listening to their conversations. But again, the Giants, league leaders and good clubhouse guys don't always win you championships. I'm not saying that they got to go out and get bad clubhouse guys, but you got to go out and get guys who maybe are some good clubhouse guys too, but can also hit you 30 bombs in a season. And if the Giants went out and got a Christian Walker, a JD Martinez, a Pete Alonso, I think they're going to finally have a guy to hit 30 bombs. I think maybe they'd be able to do it. And maybe the curse of the Barry Bonds curse will continue to live on, but maybe not. Maybe that's the thing that the Giants need to finally put an end to, that one of the just weirdest droughts in all of baseball. No 30 home run seasons for San Francisco Giants since Barry Bonds. But hey, we should just note Matt Chapman with his 2 home runs today, he's up to 26. Could he do it? Could Matt Chapman hit 4 home runs in the last, week and a half of the season? If he gets really hot, he could. Maybe he needs to get Mike Yastrzemski level hot. I teased earlier in the show, man, this guy, Mikey Yaz, has been so hot that he is doing stuff in baseball right now that only Shohei Ohtani is also doing. I'll explain what I mean a little more on the other side. But just to wrap up this prior conversation, I really like Lamonte Jr. and what he's added to the Giants. This is his, he has arbitration eligible in this offseason, so the Giants have an opportunity to bring him back if they want to. But I do think that they would be better suited. I'm not saying don't bring him back. Maybe you can bring him back and he can be a rotation guy. He can play some outfield, sorta. He seems to be becoming more and more limited in his mobility out there. So who knows how long he can do that, if he can still do that at this point in his career. But I do think that you can bring him back as a guy to kind of mix in. He's a good pinch hitter, things like that. But I don't want him to be my everyday first baseman. I like the guy. He's a good dude. He's a fun player to go out there and cheer for. I want a big power hitter at first base. Call me traditional. I like me some defense up the middle and some big boppers at first base and third base. And we already got one at third base. Matt Chapman knocking on the door at 30 home runs. We need to go get one over there at first base. Then if you have the outfield of McRae and Jung-Hoo Lee and Elliot Ramos, and then you got the 2 big power hitters of Matt Chapman and let's just say like a Pete Alonso at first base, and then you have Fitzgerald hopefully playing second base, and the Giants can go and get a solid shortstop to play up the middle and maybe hit towards like the top of the order. That would be nice too. But I think at that point, that would just be a big bonus, because you got 2 big power hitters and a bunch of guys to set the table and steal bases and put pressure on opposing lineups in various different ways. I think that would play really, really well. And I think that would change the whole complexion of this Giants lineup. If you have a certifiable power force in the middle, a guy who can bat cleanup or third every single day, and is going to be a threat and is going to change the way that pitchers approach the guys before him. That's what I really want to see the Giants go get. And maybe if Mike Yastrzemski had been able to keep up this hot streak that he's been on since the end of August, the Giants would just have their power hitter for the future. It could just be Mike Yastrzemski if he could just replicate this for the rest of the season and the rest of his career. But obviously that's a little unrealistic because he is Mike Yastrzemski, but he has lately been doing some stuff with the long ball that is, the only guy hitting as many home runs as him right now is Shohei Ohtani. We'll explain that a little more on the other side of this Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. We'll be right back. Today's show is sponsored by FanDuel, and you've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Well, we have something a little different for you now through September 22nd. Tomorrow. This ends tomorrow. All FanDuel customers can bet just $5 and get a 3-week free trial on NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Get on this right now. Then with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every single regular season Sunday afternoon out of market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. And if that's not enough, be sure to check out FanDuel's Profit Boost in the app and use it for FanDuel's double your winnings for all of Sunday 9:15 all of Sunday 9:22 pregame moneyline bets. Profit Boost will be live. It started on Thursday, so it's live right now. View your account page right now to learn more about your boost. Just visit FanDuel.com and download America's #1 sportsbook. Welcome back to the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and today, 5 bombs for the Giants, 2 off the bat of Mike Yastrzemski, 2 off the bat of Matt Chapman, 2 off the bat of Lamonte Jr., who we just talked about at length, and 1 off the bat of Mike Yastrzemski, who needs some love and recognition, man, because Mikey Yaz, my guy, has been so hot. Since August 24th, he now has 9 home runs off of right-handed pitchers, all of them, every single one of them, off of a righty. If you're a righty, don't hang one in the zone to Mike Yastrzemski. Don't throw a high fastball because he's going to jump all over it. And only Ohtani, only Shohei Ohtani, who's, if you're living under a rock, it just for you, he's got a 50-50 season every time you turn on the damn TV and you want to watch anything that's sports related at all. You get Shohei Ohtani in your face and those just disgusting blue Dodgers uniforms right in my face, just forced right down my throat, no matter how bad I don't want it. And Ohtani, 50-50 season. Amazing, I guess. I mean, I can cherry pick 2 stats to put together to be, league first type seasons all the time. Like every year, what if a guy has 25 outfield assists and 25 doubles? Oh my God, he's the next, I don't know who, maybe Gene Segura, the all-time doubles leader in Philly. I get not the all-time leader in doubles for Philly, but the Gene Segura incident, you get what I'm saying. But Ohtani, man, he's been pretty good. I think the hype is a little kind of ridiculous. Did he break the single season home run record? No. Have people hit 7 or more than 50 home runs in a season? Yeah. Have people stolen more than 50 bases in a season? Yeah. So maybe I'm, a hater for not being super impressed. I guess I'm a hater then, but it's impressive. Not the most impressive thing in the world that you need to run a 24-hour loop on it. Anyways, if you're giving Shohei a 24-hour loop, give my guy Mike Yastrzemski at least 1 single day of a 24-hour loop, because this guy has just as many home runs as Shohei Ohtani does. Since August 24th, he's got 9 of them off right-handed pitchers. This guy has been so good for the Giants. In the leadoff spot, he's been amazing for the Giants. Again, today he's batting leadoff. Didn't get on right away, but still came up with that home run in that leadoff spot. We talked a little bit earlier this week, a couple shows ago, about how Mike Yastrzemski has been playing really, really well in games where he bats in that leadoff spot. He did get pinch hit for today, which was, they brought Encarnacion later on in this game when this one was already a little out of hand. So maybe just getting Mikey Yaz a little bit of rest time, letting him rest up after playing a really humid game out there in Kansas City today. And this guy is an unsung hero for the Giants. He's got 18 home runs this year. He might hit 20 with as hot as he is by the end of the season. And I think that would be a really good number for Mike Yastrzemski. He's a 15 to 20 home run a year kind of guy. So he's right in that wheelhouse, but he was having a really down season coming into, the end of August, and all of a sudden he turned it around. That batting average is slowly climbing. It's up to 235, that OPS 756. And as one of our everydayers, Ryan, I haven't seen him in the chat yet today, but Ryan has been telling me, keeping me updated, sending me Twitter DMs, making sure I know Michael Conforto and Mike Yastrzemski have super similar stats, which they do at the plate. But the eye test for me tells me, and this isn't taking anything away from Conforto. He's been really hot at the end of the season, had a home run yesterday. And Mike Yastrzemski, though, I like the way that he has been approaching all of his at-bats. I like the way that he's been playing defense. I like the way that he's not afraid to do some of the little things. I like the way he runs the bases. A lot of these things are things that other guys on this team can't do. Guys like Mark Canha, who have similar career slash lines to the ones that I just read you, and things like that. You know, you've had a lot of the old guard who kind of hangs around this same, batting around 235 with about 15 home runs and an OPS around 750 and on the wrong side of 30. And I don't need any more of those guys on the Giants. I think they can afford to keep one. And the one I want to keep is Mike Yastrzemski. He makes the case again today, continues to make the case for himself to come back next season. The Giants and him will probably enter arbitration. He is arbitration eligible at the end of the season, so we will see what happens. But with that, that's all the time that we got for you guys on today's show on the Locked On Giants postcast. I got to get out of here. I got to get me to an Anderson .Paak concert, man. Going down to the Shoreline. It's going to be a good time. Really glad the Giants moved up this start time just once so they could avoid that rain. And two, I can now get me over to this concert. So hell yeah, let's go. But enough about me. That's all we got for you on the Locked On Giants postcast today. We'll be coming to you live tomorrow in 2 shows, not 1, but 2. You get double dose of Triple E tomorrow. We do the Locked On Giants postcast, and we're going to be bringing you the Locked On 49ers postcast as well. If you're not following along on the Locked On Sports San Francisco YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe. That's the only place you need to go to get all of the postcasts. That's where you'll get all of the shows. And also we'll be doing it on the Locked On 49ers podcast feed and on the Locked On Giants podcast feed as well for their respective post games. But just follow the YouTube channel. You get all of it there. Easiest thing for you to do. So thanks for tuning in. A Giants 9-0 beatdown over the Royals. Landen Roupp, great job. Matt Chapman, wow, my brain. Lamonte Jr. and Mike Yastrzemski all go deep today with Giants hit 5 home runs. A dominant win. They've now won 3 consecutive road series for a team who is just abysmal on the road all year. Wow. Maybe playing their best baseball of the entire season right now. Good thing they're eliminated from the playoffs and it doesn't matter. So with that, we'll see you next time. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. Peace.